With the farm stand building being delivered this week, Meg had to prepare the front of the property for its arrival. Removing much of the front perimeter fence was tricky. It left the property more vulnerable until they could erect the other fencing that surrounded the rectangular footprint of the farm stand. Putting up a new gate across the parking area in place of the fencing she had removed was another step she must accomplish before it would be secure again. She went over the steps in her head. Remove about 20 feet of perimeter fencing, receive the delivery of the building, build a fence across the back and sides with an exit gate leading back into her farmland that would remain locked except for those allowed to be there. Isaac claimed he saw it all in his head and he'd be back soon as possible prior to the delivery driver setting the building in its permanent spot. So many details swirled in her head they made her dizzy. Meg was ready to have all of it in place so she could furnish the interior of the farm stand and turn all her attention to the actual garden and developing her laying flock. A tentative name for her egg business popped into her head, Meg's Eggs, with the subtitle Healthy Eggs from Happy Hens. She found a great place to buy egg cartons online in bulk. Because Isaac could not be here on Monday, she did the chores and made a speed run into town to visit the sign maker's shop in Clancy. The business with the clever name, Signs of the Times, printed all the Arts in the Park t-shirts for vendors at the festival, but also wooden and metal signs for various uses. Meg envisioned a couple of professional signs to hang on the building and the fence. After placing an order, she took a walk through the shopping center into town toward Grounded Coffee. As she walked out of the blue, the hair on the back of her neck prickled. She turned around but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Still, the sense that she was being watched wouldn't leave. Looking through the front window of the shop, she saw Mickey hustling here and there, serving customers, joking and laughing. Meg smiled at the cheerful scene, berating herself for not reaching out to her friends sooner after coming back to Clancy. She regretted the lost time. She was reaching for the door handle when an angry voice shouted behind her. She hesitated, hand in midair, and turned around toward the sound. Behind her stood a woman with dark hair, ice blue eyes, chic attire, and a stony expression. She wore a dusty blue cashmere sweater over tan leggings, with high-heeled boots that had never left a sidewalk. The young woman's hair was shoulder-length, with salon-fresh layers around the face and textured ends. Her makeup was impeccable, and the finger she was pointing in Meg's face was no stranger to manicures. If looks could kill, Meg's funeral would be tomorrow. Surprised, she struggled to wrap her head around what was happening and who this angry person was. Seconds ticked by, and at last recognition flashed. Kelsey Severson was standing there in powder keg explosion mode. Yes, it had been her sports car cruising the farm that night, and a couple of other instances verified by video clips from the security camera. Isaac didn't think Kelsey would be a problem, but he had misjudged the situation. She was a problem Meg had no time for. "Ma'am, get the hell out of my face. I don't know you and certainly don't want to. Step aside or lose that finger." Meg's brush off riled Kelsey more. Her beet-red face twisted into a demon's mask of unprovoked rage. Meg was ready to throw down if it came to that. She was feeling some anger of her own now. You stole my boyfriend and you'll pay for it. How dare you act all innocent, you glorified farmhand?" Kelsey spat the last two words out like she tasted horse manure. Kelsey's last sentence triggered something in Meg. She began laughing and couldn't stop herself. Farmhand? That's all she had? It was hardly an insult, and the shoe fit her like Cinderella's slipper. The crazy woman's jaw dropped, and Meg could almost hear what she was thinking. This hussy, this small-town Jezebel, making fun of her. Hearing those words in Kelsey's whiny voice made her laugh harder. Just then, the powder keg that was Kelsey Severson exploded. She reared her arm back to prepare to go ballistic on Meg, who dropped her bag on the sidewalk and readied herself to fend off the attack. But the blow never came. Kelsey swirled around through no fault of her own. A man had appeared from behind the aggressor, grabbing her arm, twisting it behind her, and shouted toward Grounded Coffee's front window, "Mickey, call the sheriff. We have a problem." Kelsey was screaming and stomping her feet in protest, using words Meg rarely heard in this town. "Let me go, you rube! Help! I'm being assaulted! What just happened?" Meg stared at her rescuer. He had an infectious smile, was perhaps a few years older than she, with curly brown hair streaked with minimal silver, and dark brown eyes. He wore a plain black t-shirt, boot-cut jeans, and brown leather hiking boots. His charming, easy-going manner and his lack of hesitation to intervene showed confidence. She searched her memory of her history in Clancy, but didn't remember him. Maybe he wasn't from town, or they'd never met. He seemed older than Meg, so it could be the case that they ran in different circles. "That's okay, ma'am. No worries. I have this handled. You can go about your business." The man threw a grin her way and winked at her. "Sir, I am not leaving without thanking my knight in shining armor. I don't believe we've ever met. My name is Meg Brewster. I would shake your hand, but yours are both occupied." Just then they both noticed the inside window of the coffee shop packed with onlookers to the kerfuffle. A few began clapping their hands in appreciation of the impromptu floor show, and one even cheered. The entire incident was surreal. "Nice to meet you, Miss Brewster. We'll shake hands when I unload this alley cat on the sheriff. I'm Elias Nichols. We've never officially met, but my family knew MJ well. Our grandmothers were good friends, so I knew you'd inherited the farm. Before that, I didn't live in Clancy full time, not till the last few years, so we could have easily missed seeing each other. I'm glad I could help." Meg bent to pick up her bag and smiled back. Kelsey had ceased struggling by then and hung her head, an act, of course. Women like that always played the victim when caught red-handed in something nefarious. About that time, a sheriff's deputy showed up to get their stories, cuffed Kelsey, and returned for the many witness statements from both outside and inside grounded. As the deputy drove away with crazy Kelsey, Meg searched the dispersing crowd for Elias Nichols. He was sitting at a table and grounded, having a brew and laughing with Mickey. She pushed her way through the crowd that had gathered and was milling around, chatting with each other after the incident. Her rescuer didn't see her approaching, and as Mickey walked to the back of the shop, Meg slid into the chair opposite him. "Mr. Nichols, you seem so casual about what just happened. Are you the town superhero? Is this a day in the life of Elias Nichols I'm witnessing?" "Hardly. By the way, we haven't formally met." He held out his hand across the table to her, which she took. A manicure was absent. His hand, a bit roughed up from physical work, sported clean, short nails. "Nice to meet you, Miss Brewster. My family's claim to fame is Nichols Furniture in town, though my grandma sold it when my grandpa died. Are you okay after that wretched woman attacked you? I bet you are. You seemed ready to take her off her feet, but I saved you the trouble." "Glad to do it because I needed the exercise and it's been a slow day." "Is she a friend of yours?" Elias used the air quotes around the word friend and made her laugh. "As you said earlier, hardly. I've never met her before. I only know her by reputation. I've heard stories about her. She's a former girlfriend of a longtime family friend of mine in town. The only reason I figured out who she was is that I had seen her mugshot, and my name is Meg." Elias laughed aloud. He seemed so amused by it all. How did he do that? How he did that was a mystery, because Meg was still a little shaky and her body vibrated from the adrenaline rush. "Mugshot, eh? I guess I performed a public service then. In all seriousness, if she doesn't get locked up in a dungeon, do you think she'll be an issue for you in the future? I'll be happy to lend my rescue services if needed. I think that's kind of fun, don't judge." Meg answered as she pulled out a post-it note and wrote her cell number. "Fun? If you say so. I hope she's learned a lesson today, but judging from her police record, she's as hard-headed as a plow mule. Only time will tell. Anyway, thank you again, Elias. I have to get back to the farm, but here's my number, and if you need a reference for rescue work, I'm your gal." "I'll keep that in mind. All joking aside, it was great to meet you today, Meg Brewster. I'm glad I was there at the right place and time. Pay close attention to your situational awareness from now on, but I'm not worried. I bet you can handle yourself. Elias, I hope you have a better day than it began. Take care. See you around." Meg walked out of Grounded Coffee, smiling all the way to the SUV, thoughts swirling in her head. This day turned out even better than she'd planned. She drove back to the farm, window rolled down, humming to herself. How she'd missed meeting Elias Nichols in the past she didn't know, but she hoped to see him again in her future. As with Isaac Tanner, he seemed a good man to know. That thought reminded her she had a few stories from the past few days to tell Isaac when he arrived tomorrow to prepare the fence for the shed delivery. She decided not to tell him over the phone. These events were better explained in person.